In China, they may not know huge amounts about their poetry, but within their schools and things, they still learn about their poets and learn to recite some poets. And over there, if you're with a group of people and someone says, "Oh, this is a poet," everybody's keen to know who you are, what you know, and you don't feel embarrassed at all. But over here, if you're with a group of people and you say, "I'm a poet," well, you don't know if they're going to shudder or if they're going to sort of turn around and not know what to say and feel embarrassed, and it's very nice to be received like that. I think probably in Russia, places like that too, where they still have a deep respect for their poets over there. It might be the same, but I haven't been there yet to try it out. We are a bit of a knocker mob, We didn't come over here with great tomes of poetry to write. That took us quite a while to get it together. And we were always in awe of what was behind us, Europe and America. America broke through, but by the time we were, sort of 50s, 60s here, in 1950s, 60s here, American poets were going really strong. And European poets had to accept them by then. And we were seeing this happen, and I think that spurred us on a lot because, and I know it's because of my age, the 50s and 60s poets in America were a big influence, and in England. I was writing from a very early age, and not because I knew it was poetry or knew I wanted to write. Well, I knew I wanted to write or do what these things on the page were doing to me. And the first influences were lyrics of songs we learned to sing at school. And I think there was a piece before I came out from America. We were in school over there, and there was a song, and it had a piece about the wind in the pine trees soughing, S-O-U-G-H-I-N-G. And there were pine trees where we lived. And it just struck me that, how does this happen? There's a word that says what I can hear, and that was fascinating. And then when I came over here, we did do a bit of poetry in school, reciting things. And some of them were Australian sunrise with gold black wattles against the purple skies. And, I started to see pictures with what was coming. And I just thought, well, I want to be able to do that. So I just started at age 12 writing poems, in the dark at night and never showing them to anyone. And I just kept writing. And then I started at high school. You started to be in contact with more poetry. They never had creative writing or anything like that those days. I remember we had done some poetry, and the teacher said, try to write a poem or something. And the next day, one girl put her hand up, said she'd written a poem. And it was all about fairies and princesses. And I thought, oh, shit, I didn't say shit. I've done something, that's better than that. And I actually had the poem in my hand, but I was very shy. And shall I put my hand up, shall I? And I didn't do it. So that was about age 14 or 15. And then it wasn't until I went to some creative writing classes with Elizabeth Joly. Yes, I went to a creative writing class with Elizabeth Joly, the first time I'd ever done this sort of thing. And we had to do some poetry, and she sort of said to me, well, you should start sending these away to magazines. And I suddenly realized, oh, this is a valid thing. You can get paid for this. So I did, and from then on, it just grew and grew. I think I'd done a lot of my apprenticeship on my own just by reading and attempting to write. And I would certainly advise all young poets, read as much as you possibly can, and go from there, and be very wary of praise and be thankful for criticism. You do get rejection slips. I didn't get as many as I think some people get. I was very lucky, but you do get them. And they do set you back. They really do. It's like being rejected by a lover or something almost. But this is where wide reading comes in. I was always interested in how other poets wrote, and there were some books called the Paris Book Review, Paris Book Interviews Review, and they were fascinating. They were poets and writers and artists talking. I'm not sure if it's that book or another biography of a sculptor called Giacometti. And in there, he didn't have huge success during his life, but he towards the end I think he did, and he said that it was not praise that moved him on. He said it was criticism. And he said when he got criticized, it turned into a energy. I'll do this, I'll do that. Who do they think they are? And I found that's true. That's true. If you let criticism get you down, and feel like, oh, it's not fair, but if you allow it to come into yourself like an energy, you will find it's like being a sports person, and the hurdles are there and you just want to go at it, and let it happen like that. But if you get patted on the back too many times, stop and think, uh-oh, where's this going? Because that's the one we need praise, we really do. But I think there's a little bit in this day and age, it's much easier to get near creative writing classes, to be able to be near other young people who are writing, and to pat each other on the back a little too much. It's very good, but you want to try as a young poet to get yourself away from it a little while now and then, physically or mentally. Don't start relying on it. As all poets know, you get the gift poem now and then that just comes out of you down on the page. You think, how the hell did that happen, And they're usually very good and just right. Otherwise, it can take anything from 2 to 12 revisions, drafts, sort of thing. And sometimes the best thing to do, if you're still not getting it, all writers will say, put it in a drawer and leave it for a month, then pick it out. And that's a hard thing to do. And one has to not be afraid of keeping the poem in the head. Very often it gets down on the page too quickly. And once it's on the page, it seems to have an authority of its own, especially if it's typed. Your own writing is a little less authoritative. It can get a bit scribbly. You can see it get a bit scribbly when you're thinking and you're not sure. At least mine does. I'm going along really well, the writing's good, and then it gets a bit scribbly, and I know that it's not coming out right. If you type it into the computer, it looks awfully authoritative there, and you feel you've got to take what's there. So be careful, and when you're having trouble and you've faced the fact that this is not working, put it aside and get the poem back into your head and start in your head all over again.